Okay, that was just a remote QSO from a laptop in another room where the rig is. The rig has its own computer, and we're using JackTrip to conduct the audio. We're sending a tone from a Ultra Pico keyer that comes in the system here on the left. That goes out to JackTrip, and on the other computer, the output of that tone goes directly to a circuit, an audio-derived CW keying circuit that keys the CW jack of the rig. And from the rig's line output, it goes to that computer, that rig's computer, JackTrip input, just like this one. And that's how I'm hearing the side tone from the K3 when I'm sending, and I hear the background HF audio and the other operator. We incorporated a couple filters here, LV2 filters. And I'm using a USB mic here to talk to you. A couple scopes here. The scope on the top is just to monitor the audio from the K3, and kind of a real-time sweep here. It's kind of a slow sweep across the screen. The other one's triggered, and it has 20 millisecond frames. And the tone here on the upper green is the tone from the Ultra Pico keyer. The tone on the bottom is the return side tone from the K3. And as you can see, it's just a little bit over 20 milliseconds. So this is real time. It's considered near zero real time in the music world. And I don't notice any delay whatsoever from tapping the paddles until I actually hear the tone. And it's just from being able to use Jack Audio on Linux here. This is a Linux computer running Mint 17, and so is the other computer in the other room. We're running low frames, and low buffer frames here at 64 and at 48K, and about about 4 periods actually. And there's no point in trying to get less than 20 milliseconds here because I can't notice any delay anyway. So this is pretty good for inside the LAN. JackTrip also works across the internet too, depending on how far. So usually you'll have to monitor your side tone locally and then turn off the side tone in your rig so you don't get 2 side tones, because the delay will go up. Every 100 miles is another millisecond, something like that, of delay. So if you're just across the city, you may not notice too much, but it's probably going to be over 30 milliseconds, which means you might start to notice some delay once it goes above 30, and especially over 50. You can get used to the latency if you wanted to monitor the side tone, but it's easy enough to turn the side tone off on the rigs, most rigs now, and just locally monitor your side tone so you can get good feedback. And what you're seeing in front of the screen here is AV Linux on a live CD mode. I'm actually using a USB drive to run AV Linux in a live session mode. I just wanted to test it and to test how low JackTrip would go. There's the JackTrip. It's pretty easy, very good program, and it's used by musicians worldwide to jam with each other, so it has a specialty for trying to get the latency as low as possible. And it doesn't use Opus, it uses PCM, so there's no compression to speak of like Opus does, or packet recovery. Or, it may actually process the audio a little bit faster than Opus does. I'm not sure about that, but it appears that it might when compared with UltraGrid. UltraGrid is a similar remote audio for a rig that you could use, and I've noticed locally here it's a little longer in latency than JackTrip. JackTrip has versions for Windows, Linux, and Mac, so it's cross-platform. We're using KXstudio's CATIA and KXstudio's CADENCE to set up Jack. This is how I have it configured. For this session. And we're running a simple screen recorder in this live session, so I think I better get off here before I chew up the memory too much on this live session. So thanks for watching.